and protect your wealth. Remember to subscribe, like, and share these videos. Well, folks, we've got the State of the Union coming up, so I'm going to be fairly quick, but I want to go through some of the things that I discussed in last night's Substack. Let's get into tonight's video. Well, welcome, everyone. Yeah, I had an interesting snafu with I could not get the video to stop for like 6 hours last night. So hopefully you got I got it edited and you watched the replay last night. So in last night's Substack, there was something that, as I was writing, doing some research, I really saw something that caught my eye, which was realizing that everybody's talking about the tariffs and everything since Trump's come into office. He likes to talk about the tariffs. But in the real world, what we're seeing is a regime change from where the economy's going. So Trump calls it the golden age. And, you go back to Smoot-Hawley, go back to Bretton Woods. These are big switches in the economy. I think this potentially is going to be so much bigger than what we've ever seen before, from the standpoint, is this a complete restructuring of the world economy? And it's being forced through Trump's tariffs, but not totally. It has a lot to do with bringing manufacturing back, rebuilding America, getting more fair trade is what the goal is, right? That's the point of the tariffs. And I noticed that, boy, they just love, anytime they think they've got Trump in a corner and talking about, his tariffs were illegal. Well, just one section of them he immediately restructured everything. This is my point, is what we're seeing right now is a world change that's going to affect how money flows. We're seeing the world of crypto and digital assets, everything starting to come into play in they never existed before. And so transactions are hopefully going to get cheaper. They're going to be faster. Everything is going to change substantially, and we're already seeing that change. So and not only that, the mass migration that's happened over, let's say, the last 20 years has been significant as well. So we've got a lot of people, every country has a lot of people in their country that don't necessarily match with the rest of the country, but they're here and they're going to impact the changes that we're going to get in the economy and just the way business in general goes on. And that's why, I've been talking about overall what we're seeing is just this sideways range in the market. You guys all thought I was wrong this morning, didn't you? And then we got the big reversal again. We keep going back and forth. I'll get into that here in just a minute. But basically what we're seeing is the restructuring of how trade partners act with each other. We're seeing a massive amount of CapEx coming into U.S. Trump is always screaming that we're the hottest country in the world. We are. And a lot of flow is coming here, and jobs and everything that he's talking about is actually happening. I noticed that we get the consumer sentiment. I've got some numbers on another screen here. And one of the things that we keep seeing, I've been talking about, all the metrics keep beating what is expected. And we saw that again yesterday. Consumer confidence came in at 91.2. It was expected at 86. And meanwhile, I was watching earlier today, I had sound on in Bloomberg, and they're telling how all the polls are telling that no one's happy with the economy. 60% of the people aren't happy with the economy. Meanwhile, consumer confidence at 91.2 and expected to be 86. So the actual numbers from the economy don't reflect the polls. And I've talked to you folks about this. Basically, it's the Bible for doing polls, but it's how to lie through statistics, sample sizes, where you go ask people. You can make a poll look any way you want. And so that's what you see, especially on the mainstream media, and especially on Bloomberg, is very, very biased. So what we're seeing here from the standpoint of the metrics, they're telling us the opposite story. And even when CPI or inflation showing a little bit hotter, the markets seem to shrug it off. One other thing. So the situation that I see happening, and we saw it today, it's like they pull something out of the hat every other day. It's like, okay, now the AI disruption in jobs, and then it's in software, and they just come up with a different. It's the days they want to be down, the financial press, everybody, all of a sudden that's what's looking at market sentiment, and it's flopping back and forth. Today we had an up day, yesterday a down day. And this is exactly what the quant is telling us. That's all the quantitative analysis I've been showing you. We're going to keep chopping around. I see people on YouTube comments and X and other places. Market's going down. It's going to collapse. And meanwhile, we just continue to get the type of metrics that we've been getting, which is better than expected. So it's going to get more interesting as time goes on. Guarantee it will be interesting to see what Trump has to say tonight on the State of the Union. And we'll also get to watch the clown show or whatever they're coming up with on Democrats to protest the President of the United States. So much for the word United States, right? So let's do this. I'm going to get through this pretty quick tonight, and what we'll do is we'll just go through all the metrics. I'll bring up the Wave Tech, and we'll just buzz through everything. I'll answer a couple of questions. We'll be out of here. My goal, been on 7 minutes right now, so another 30, 35 minutes, around quarter till we're going to be out of here. So let's go ahead and let me make sure everything's running. Looks like everything's run, so we'll go ahead and get into this. So database right now on a daily, we're at 60.98. We were up around 67, so we backed off a little bit. And so if you recall, we had like 1,400 cells yesterday. Now it's normalized. We've got roughly 400, and we'll call it 300. So slight bias to the upside. Not a lot here. No real big rotation going on. Still the same 8 sectors. Nothing's really going on from the standpoint of what we're seeing from all the model activity. We're still seeing one of the things I noticed, we're up 8%, I think 8.09 as far as the indexes go. So we've got mid-caps 8.2, Russell 6.9, Dow Jones 2.3 positive, S&P now 0.07 after the rally today, and only down 1.6%. And I believe, you guys can correct me, I think we have NVIDIA coming out after the close tomorrow, so that'll be more of a Thursday morning overnight effect on from that standpoint. But there's really nothing going on, and this is why I've been screaming about the stability in the database, both on the intermediate as well as the daily. So this can be a pretty good leading indicator, but as long as we stay above the 48 to 52 range on this short-term database, we're just going to stay in this sideways choppy range. So let's go ahead and take a look at and get right into the metrics on the S&P. So here's that caterpillar. We've been doing it. We had down day, nice reversal day today. I think you can see the algos I've been talking about where it's just flat, just telling us chop, chop. There's no future predictions going on that tells us that we're going to evolve out of the trend. Those straddle trades still the way to go. Doing index straddles around this range. You can broaden them out, but you can get some pretty good income coming in off of doing that. But there's literally nothing. I'm waiting for a spike day. I've talked a lot about this. It's almost like a half pipe where you reset and momentum starts to swing, and we can get a couple of days where momentum keeps getting kicked in, and we can get a directional move. Right now, no directional move. Went through the weekly on the Substack on Monday. There's nothing here, folks. This is a pretty boring range. The other thing which is interesting here, let me just blow this up so you can see it. The fib targets, we've got three up targets and we have 3 down targets. So that's just more when you start to get these type of swings. The algos in the WaveTech fib targets are just getting range bound as well. So if anything, this is just basically showing us where the volatility could expand to. Till we get 3 to 5 days, we start to get some kind of trend. We start to break out of these ranges. We're going to get more of the same. So we're coming in. Well, we got a little bit, I think, over a week. Yeah, not even about a week to go in this month, right? So maybe some window dressing at the end of the month, but right now I'm not seeing anything to even talk about here. So maybe I'll get a little bit off track, but this is really just going to be an update video. There's nothing that I can even get in and say, well, it looks like, if you recall a number of weeks ago, I had that 11th and 12th date that was blocked out for something to happen. We did get a little activity around that number, but the algos aren't even giving us a lead right now. I mean, it's like a EKG, and this patient's not doing very well. Almost flatlined across the board. So yeah, so let's just go through this. We'll see what kind of questions, probably questions you folks will have would be better than anything I'll be able to come up with. So on the NAS, so we'll talk about this here just for a second. We've got upward targets, no downward targets. The 200, this is daily, 200-day moving average is up at a pretty good pace. So I think this big triangle here, this orange line down here where I'm putting my cursor and above, this is the range. We're just likely to remain just in this range. And if I put numbers on it, probably coming over here, probably looking at 26.3 and maybe down to 24,400. That's your range. So I think you can straddle that. If we look at the algos, they're flat. There's a little bit of indication because there has been a bit higher volatility in the NASDAQ than the other indices, but it's still not giving us any lead way. I saw somebody on Discord today, I don't remember who it was, but made a comment as how accurate these algos do predict things when they're coming in. So maybe a 4-hour hourly chart, maybe you can find some trades there, but what we're looking at here is just complete flat line. And maybe this is because of Trump's speech tonight. Hopefully he'll say something, we get a little move in volatility, but right now there's nothing there. And I'm just gonna, like I said, I haven't covered it. We're gonna go to IWM. Just put up same pattern, only more restrictive. The algos, if anything, on IWM are showing we got downward projections where everything else has even downward and upward or just just upward. Now this is the only index that's got downward, and it's been a bit of a leader. This isn't the big rotation yet. I will argue for a while that aren't going to get there until we see that steepening of the yield curve get pretty dramatic, and we're not getting that. I mean, with the 10-year back at 402, they're not even giving us any lead there. So everything is flattening out. The 10-year coming down. We're just seeing the yield curve flatten. We're seeing just about as neutral as a market as you can. Like I said, hopefully Trump has something interesting to say tonight that will kick in some volatility. At this point, I don't care if it's positive or negative. These kind of markets are pretty tough to deal with. So let's take a look at the 10-year. Like I said, I'm going to fly through this tonight. So 10-year's been declining pretty good. We're coming down into those lower bounds. I'm going to put the weekly up because that's the real chart to watch here. Is these big downward projections. Like I said, this is probably close to it. The 370 level is going to be a big pivot. You can see the red dots are projecting right down to that level. Is that what's going to happen? Maybe. The new Fed chair, we're going to start to get more. What is this? The end of February. As we get in March, April, that is going to the time where we get in front of Congress and we start to confirm wash. That's when we'll start to maybe see some movement. But right now, this is just even making it worse, having these rates and having the yield curve actually flatten as well. So I'm struggling here to find anything interesting to talk about. There really is not. We need a kick up in volatility. Like I said, Trump said something negative, then that's fine. We just need something to break out of this range. And I'll just tie everything together that when I was talking about, we're in the middle of a regime change right now on a world basis. Just like a Bretton Woods, we're at that place where the economies, everything's going to switch. Only we have new things. We have the AI. We've got industrialization with all of the electricity needs, and and I've said this before, we've got a lot of new bodies in this place in the U.S. and everybody. So this is an opportunity to take and educate the new population, because let's face it, they're not getting rid of everybody. 20 million people came across the border. They're not all going home. And so to try to integrate those bodies in here, this industrial boom is going to be part of that. It doesn't appear the Zoomers or the millennials want anything to do with these jobs, even though there's some pretty darn good jobs. One of my nephews got an amazing job in heating and air conditioning at an industrial level, which is pretty insane, actually. Makes some pretty good bucks. But the point is here that the yields on the back end are being forecasted lower. That can only equate to maybe a 25 or 50 basis point drop on the Fed funds, because we got to keep that steepener I've been talking about, where the front end needs to be at least 75 basis points lower than that 10-year. And the front end for me is not the 2-year, but the literally 1 year down to the Fed funds, the overnight funds. That's where we need this to happen. 2-year doesn't mean anything. Nobody really does any real financing inside of a bank off of the 2-year notes. That's not what's determining anything. It's that spread. Borrow short, lend long, and short, I mean overnight and very short-term, weekly, 30-day T-bills, 30-day CDs, all that kind of stuff is where you need that spread. Now, we do have a couple things I think we can talk about in the metals. And one of the things that, let me go back to the daily. One of the things I was talking about just yesterday is that the volatility. So gold, I thought, was getting up towards that upper end, and it's going to come back into range. We got a pretty decent turnaround yesterday. We had what, $87 down 1.67%, get down to 51.09. The high was 52.69. As we were talking last night, we had a pretty good rally going on there, and then it just reversed. Now we're back up. It's a chop, but we're going, this is, make sure I got the chart. This is the daily, so we've got the top end of the range. Now we do have some fib targets up here on with a minimum of 57.60, 56, 57.70 range, but it looks to me that the momentum is flattening out, and we're going to just hover around the 10-day, 21-day moving average, move sideways in that trend, and we should be able to get maybe a move up toward, there could be a decent move up toward the fib targets here, but it doesn't look likely at the moment. This was something I talked about. If you were on last night, I talked about these three dots here, which is you get what I call an island projection. So we had one of these where gold was being projected to come down to the 200-day. The algos were signaling that we were going to come back in, non-confirming, and now we've gotten rid of that. So we had a 1-bar projection, which is a classic island projection. They go away. Up here, though, we've got multiple days in this pattern suggesting that we can come up here. But what we looked in, we've got a slight upward trend coming here in the dailies. But when we look at the other two indicators just on this screen here, you're not getting confirmation that there's strength coming in gold. So another sideways signal. So hopefully we get, like I said, hopefully Trump says something, wakes up these markets. It's getting pretty bad from a standpoint of expecting any kind of a blowout trend. So we're going to hit silver. I can't wait to get this studio hooked up. I think I closed as many tabs as I could, but we definitely have some things going on here. Yeah, bear with me. I'm frozen up again. Yeah, this is why this studio it exists. Yeah, I don't know. I saw somebody saying something with trading views been kind of glitching out lately. Yeah, I've been blaming my Mac, but I'm not sure it's the blame is right. So, like the screen is not there. So I'm just gonna come up here and come on screen. So I'm glad there wasn't much to talk about today. Let's just. Yeah. So you bet they give us the tariff money to buy the midterm. Are you complaining or sure, why not? It's politicians, right? I'm telling you, folks, I've got lights blinking here. I have no idea. These are all hooked up to the internet, so I'm not sure what's going on. So let's do this. I'm going to answer some question, and and then I think we're just going to, yeah, I'm glad to look at the miners and SIL. If nothing's working. So is it me, or does anyone else been having trouble with TradingView? I saw a couple comments on our Discord today about this. Okay, yeah, you like my lounge room? Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I'm still paying for that other place. I'm going to be getting out of here pretty soon. I've got a lease over there, so. Yeah, I literally cannot get anything to work. So give me at least a thumbs up that everything else is working. Yeah, and David, that's what I've been saying, is we're just locked in this range. Yeah, so the nice thing is the robots will work like the dairy farmers. So we'll get those guys back. They just won't be humanoids. Yeah, so give me a message or something, because I'm feeling 100% frozen here. So if anybody's on Discord, just post anything if you're on our Discord, and let me know that something's coming through, because I'm feeling pretty lonely here. The screen's frozen. It's not so much the screen, it's actually TradingView. I can't even get a right click to work. All right, folks. I'm not seeing any response from anybody. Okay. It's really weird. It's just, thanks, Bo, by the way. Yeah, I can't move any of, I can change screens, but when I get to TradingView, it's like frozen. All right, so I'll go ahead as if I can't read anything. So let me look at some of your comments and see what I can do, and then I guess we'll just call it quits. And we're not supposed to be live here right now. Let's see. Okay, yeah, so thanks, Texas Dave. Appreciate it. Yeah, I just got a message on the chat, is discontinued. Please wait while we try to reconnect you. So there, maybe it's a combination of YouTube. YouTube had a big outage last week, so maybe it's just all that. Pretty bizarre, but I just see my internet blinking and everything. So there, I just got some, it's reconnected now. Okay, so now I'm getting that. Let me see if I can get another browser to work on TradingView. Yeah, definitely something with TradingView on my end. I can't even get it to come up on another browser. So let's take a look. It looks like I've got a chat line. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I was not getting anything. All right, folks. Yeah, nothing's coming up on TradingView. I apologize. This is so frustrating. This is why I got this. Okay, my studio. So I don't know if it's the Mac Mini or what it is, but that thing's going to get installed here in the next couple of days. I'm actually going to install it from scratch instead of trying to transfer maybe some kind of crud that's on my other Mac. I'm just going to do a clean image on that. I was going to just move it over, but that's not what's going to happen here. So anyway, folks, I think looks. Yeah, I just got a spinning wheel on the other screen, so it's trying to load up TradingView, but it's not working. So I'll be excited. A couple of things are going to happen here over the next couple of months. I do have a new pipe coming in here. They just installed fiber in the area, so I'm going to have 10 gigabyte pipe coming in here, and hopefully stuff like this won't happen. But this has been pretty frustrating. At the other location where my office was, where I operated from for years, that's actually a business connection. This is a retail connection here. So I paid extra for 20 and all that. So let me just see if I can comment on any of the stuff that you've been talking about. I'm not sure on AI reduced by 800 million, maybe billion. I'm not sure. 800 million is a rounding error in this world. Okay, so David, yeah, so view has been erratic as my dog's behavior with a bone. Okay. Yeah, it's possible. I mean, that thing has just gotten so big. Yeah, yeah, but I've got lights blinking. There's something going on in the network here. So let me just see if I can find a couple of things. Yeah, we'll see if this new studio it's pretty powerful. So hopefully that will be, like I said. Yeah, like I said, we'll see what happens here with everything, but NVIDIA will definitely be a catalyst. I'm just looking at, yeah. So if somebody's got a question, maybe I can do that. On the daily sheets, does the support and resistance probability grid the same regards of when you run it during the day? That on the daily, absolutely. If you're running an hourly or 4 hour, then that's why I noticed something. I think I used the wrong model last night. It didn't have the expiration date on there, so I have to check that out tonight. So hopefully TV gets its act together here, but it's definitely not refreshing or doing anything. And we've had this before, and I made an extra effort today to shut down every tab that I didn't need to keep open, and it's still not working. Yeah, let's just go watch Trump. Let's call it quits. No reason to hang around here that I can see. Yeah, it's 43. Hey, listen, folks, sorry for the, I guess I don't need to explain the situation with TV being the main problem, but I've been seeing a lot of quirkiness. So let's do this. Let's call it quits. Thanks everybody for coming tonight. Let's go watch Trump. We'll have a better stream tomorrow, hopefully. And yeah, because I rebooted everything earlier today too. So, hey, it's all I can do. I just need a little bit of time to get the new box set up. Anyway, have a great time. Sorry for the stream again tonight. There seems to be something going on all the time. That's why I stepped into this thing. Anyway, have a great one. We'll see you soon. Enjoy the music, at least. Hopefully that'll work.